Welcome to the Deep Dive. Okay, get ready, because today we're going to rewind things way back, diving deep into the sound of 1980s top 40 radio.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those shimmering synths, the huge vocals, those power ballads. That's where we're headed.
Definitely. And I bet a lot of listeners have strong memories tied to that sound.
I think so too.
Ah.
And we really want to dig into why it still, hooks us.
Absolutely. For so many, the 80s chart wasn't just noise, it was the soundtrack to a pretty wild time.
Totally.
And you gave me some great bits from Synth Dreams and Power Ballads, the unforgettable sound of 80s top 40 radio.
Yeah, good stuff in there.
So our mission today, I guess, is to figure out what made that sound so big and why we're still talking about it, even people who weren't around then.
Couldn't have put it better. Okay, let's jump in. The book starts by framing the 80s as this real hub of change, innovation, and music was right at the center of it. It mentions this collision of new tech and just bold creativity. What was it about the tech specifically that really changed the game?
That's the key question, isn't it? While lots of things played a part, the synthesizer really does stand out.
Right.
It wasn't just like an electric piano upgrade. It opened up completely new sounds.
Yeah.
Artists could suddenly create these textures, these soundscapes, stuff you just couldn't really make before. So that changed how songs were produced, obviously layering sounds, those cool atmospheric pads. But it also just stretched the whole idea of what pop music could sound like. It shifted what people expected to hear.
It's kind of wild to think about that shift. That really distinctive layered sound, almost glassy sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of that was these new machines. And then just as this is happening, boom, MTV launches in '81.
Right on schedule.
And the book argues this made music videos just as important as the actual songs. You couldn't just have a hit tune anymore. You needed the visuals, too.
Oh, absolutely. MTV was like this huge megaphone for these artists and their sound.
Yeah.
It gave them a space to build a whole visual identity to go with the music. Think about it. The art wasn't just the song anymore.
It was the whole package.
Exactly. The video, the fashion, the persona, it made everything more immersive and, let's be honest, way more memorable for the audience. The visuals locked in the sound.
And some artists just totally nailed that combination. The book gets into the big names, starting with Madonna, the queen of pop.
Can't talk 80s without Madonna.
So, based on the reading, what about her rise really shows this new landscape in action?
Well, what's fascinating with Madonna is just how smart she was about media, like incredibly savvy. The book points out how she deliberately built her image and just used the power of MTV to get seen and heard everywhere.
Right.
Songs like A Virgin, Material Girl, they weren't just hits, they were like cultural events, and her visuals were key to that. She knew how to make moments people talked about.
Absolutely. A real master of her own image.
Yeah.
Then you've got Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Thriller comes out in '82. The book calls it a seismic event. It's hard even now to really capture how massive that album was.
Seismic is probably the right word. I mean, Thriller. It didn't just sell millions. It basically rewrote the rules for pop superstardom.
How so?
Well, the production was immaculate, the synths were perfect, but the videos, they were like short films.
Oh, yeah, the Thriller video.
It showed the full potential of that audio-visual thing we were talking about, and it reached everyone globally in a way nothing really had before.
Unbelievable scale. And then there's Prince, just operating on his own planet, really.
Aha, yeah, pretty much.
Genre-bending, incredible musician. Purple Rain. The book says it was more than an album, a cultural moment. What made him so distinct in that 80s explosion?
Prince, he was Prince, an iconoclast, right?
Definitely.
His talent was just immense. He could blend funk, rock, R&B, pop, make it all sound completely like him.
And the stage presence?
Oh, totally flamboyant. Part of that unique thing he had, this almost mythical character, Purple Rain, captured all of it, the musicianship, the drama, the raw emotion. It wasn't just music you listened to. It felt like this whole experience, a complete artistic vision.
And it's interesting, as the book notes, all three, Madonna, Michael, Prince, they were all pushing boundaries with synths too, right? Shaping that mainstream sound.
Absolutely. Pioneers in using that tech in pop.
But the 80s wasn't only about those bright synthy anthems, was it? There was this other side, the power ballads, that huge emotional thing.
That's such a crucial point. You can't forget the power ballads. Their emotional pull was just undeniable. The book mentions Journey, obviously, Don't Stop Believin', and Bon Jovi, Livin' on a Prayer. Iconic stuff.
Absolutely iconic.
And those songs, with the soaring vocals, the often really heartfelt lyrics, They tapped right into the feelings of the time, gave people an outlet for vulnerability, but also hope.
It's kind of amazing how those songs, even now, you hear them and get hit with this wave of feeling. The books suggest they captured the sort of pain and optimism of a generation.
Yeah, it does.
What gave them that staying power, do you think? Power ballads generally.
Well, that gets into timeless human stuff, doesn't it? Themes of resilience, looking for love, holding onto hope when things are tough.
Universal themes.
Exactly. They resonate across time. And the sound of power ballads, the big vocals, the anthemic feel, it just amplified those emotions, made them feel really personal, whatever you heard them. Kind of like emotional release.
Yeah, totally. You hear that opening keyboard riff of Don't Stop Believin' anywhere now?
Everyone sings along.
Instantly. It's this shared thing. Now, the book also has some cool specifics, like the Yamaha DX7 synth.
Ah, the DX7.
Released in '83, apparently one of the best-selling synths ever, shaped countless tracks. That just shows how one bit of gear can define a sound.
It's pretty remarkable, actually, how one instrument can leave such a mark on an era. The DX7 had this very specific digital sound, FM synthesis, gave it that bright, sometimes kind of crystalline tone.
Right, I think I know the sound you mean.
And it was relatively affordable, versatile, so everyone used it. It's a huge part of that signature 80s pop sound we recognize instantly.
Makes sense. And then there's the MTV launch itself, August 1st, 1981, where those famous first words, ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
Iconic.
The book really hammers home how that changed how we consumed music. It wasn't just about listening anymore, was it?
Not at all. MTV kicked off the visual age of music. It turned artists into visual stars and made the video an art form, sure, but also a critical marketing tool.
Yeah.
For the viewer, for you, it added this whole other layer to how you connected with the music. The sound, the look, the artist's whole story. It all got tied together.
Okay, so pulling all this together, then synthesizing, you might say.
Ah, nice one.
What's the big takeaway here from this deep dive into synth dreams and power ballads? Why should someone listening today care about this 80s stuff?
Well, I think the core message, and the book makes this really clear, is that the 80s wasn't just, catchy songs and big hair. It was a truly pivotal cultural moment. It was a time when really new, groundbreaking music tech met incredible creative talent. And the result was a sound that was genuinely original and, as we've seen, has lasted incredibly well.
Right.
Understanding how that tech and artistry fuse gives you a richer appreciation, not just for 80s music, but for how it still influences music today, kind of provides the backstory for where we are now, sonically.
Absolutely. It wasn't just about hooks. It was this whole cultural engine driven by tech and these amazing larger-than-life artists who weren't afraid to experiment.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our trip through the neon-lit soundscape of 80s Top 40, it's clear, isn't it? The synths, the massive artists, the emotional punch of the ballads, they all came together to make something truly unforgettable.
Precisely. And it just highlights how powerful music can be as this sort of time capsule.
Good way to put it.
It can zap you right back to specific feelings, specific memories. Those 80s tracks, for so many people, are locked into important moments in their lives.
It's so true. It goes beyond just nostalgia.
Well,
It's a real connection to a feeling, a point in time.
Yeah.
Which leads us to our final thought for you, the listener, to kind of mull over. We've talked about how tech and art fused so powerfully in the 80s. How does that compare to music innovation today, with all the digital tools artists have now?
Interesting question.
What parts of today's music, with all its tech possibilities, might be the thing that defines this generation's unforgettable sound years from now? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.